in organizations. But that's what got Dr. Levitt
At
really...
the moment, Dr. March teaches at Stanford also.
No, he's retired, I think, now at this point. But he was he made his mark in the business world in a pretty significant way. But the reason we actually started to really click together is we both recognized that really what we were talking about, what we were teaching in our program at Stanford, was the concept that a manager really needs, and an executive really needs to understand how to be an organizational engineer. You know, think about the concept, just using those words. So
organizational engineer is quite important word.
Yeah. So that basically, we began to formulate what's the discipline around that. Well, if you can imagine, this requires to understand leadership, human resources, operations research, corporate planning, finance. This is kind of a synthesis, right, of many management practices that we attempt to try to bring to bear in the book. So it's quite fascinating.
Describe another colleague, Mr. Morgan.
Mr. Mark Morgan, he actually worked with me at a company I was the CEO at called IP Solutions. It's still a company that's there today, and he was the Chief Learning Officer, so he and I collaborated a lot on the elements of the book and so forth.
And the reason this book was launched because three of you teach a course at Stanford for the last few years?
Yes, in the last essentially 7 years or so. The program has been there since 1999, but it's a very successful program at Stanford.
So this program is a non-degree program. It's a certificate.
Correct. Right. It's considered an executive education postgraduate program.
1.5 years?
Usually most people get through the program in about 1.5 years. You can get through it faster because there's some online and on-campus combinations.
And what's the name of the program?
It's called the Stanford Advanced Project Management Program.
Project Management.
Yeah. And so it's a very, like I said, very successful.
ท่านผู้ชมครับน่าสนใจที่คุณวิลเลียมเนี่ยได้ทำงานร่วมกับคุณมอร์แกนกับคุณเลวิตนะคือปัญหาของเมืองไทยอาจารย์หมายไลมักจะทำงานคนเดียวอะไรเงี้ยนะฮะผมก็คิดว่าการมีทีมเวิร์กนะฮะแล้วก็ได้ร่วมงานกันแล้วก็มีประสบการณ์ในเรื่องมอง engineering ซึ่งเขาเรียกว่าเป็น organizational engineering ซึ่งก็มองทุกจุดในบริษัทเลยนะแล้วก็เอา strategy กับ execution เข้ามาด้วยกันนะฮะซึ่งก็เป็นประโยชน์มากเลยที่คือผมเรียนเมื่อกี้ได้คุยกับคุณวิลเลียมอยู่นานนะฮะผมคิดว่าเวลามีออเธอร์แบบนี้หรือเป็นกูรูคนหนึ่งของโลกเนี่ยมาที่ประเทศไทยเนี่ยนะฮะแล้วก็ผมก็โชคดีที่ได้รับโอกาสได้มาคุยกันแล้วคิดว่า now you have in your book 6 imperatives okay which I read them carefully. It's very interesting. In this television, I will put the 6 program imperative together. But you start with what we call ideation.
Ideation, yes.
Ideation. ท่านผู้ฟังครับอันนี้น่าสนใจนะเพราะว่าตามที่บริษัทก็จะ start the vision. You start with ideation. Why is that?
So if you think about ideation.This
is quite unique concept. Not many people talk about that.
Because
it is your own invention?
You know, a lot of the concepts of ideation have been around, right? It's about purpose-driven organization.
Start with some idea.
Start with an idea. Who am I? Why am I here? And where are we going? I mean, this is kind of like the basic premise of all human interest is it starts from an identity position, right?
The purpose.
Yeah.
And all that.
And if you look at some of the most successful companies in business, they're driven by purpose. The Toyota production system, the Toyota way, is highly an idea.
Maybe the word is why I'm here.
Yeah.
What I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's very interesting. You start off with a general purpose.
Yeah.
And the second one you come up with vision.
Yes.
Okay. Why the ideation and vision so different?
So we believe that vision or the long-term strategy of the organization.
Where are we going?
Yeah. Has to be driven from a purpose point of view, not the other way around. It isn't like, well, let's have a business plan for 10 years.
Okay, let's take a case of Singaporean library.
Right.
What is their ideation?
So when you look at the Singapore National Library, they decided that in order to build a healthy and prosperous society, they had to deal with
They
changing.
go bigger.
Yes, they went
They
well
look at
beyond.
society first.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, we need to liberate the people from illiteracy. Think about this. I mean, and then
So they want the Singaporean to be a learning society.
yes, a learning nation. If you look at their actual mission, is that we want to become a learning nation. So they
So
rose above.
the ideation is bigger than the vision of the company.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Because if
Okay.
not, you just think about the
Okay.
library books, right? Well, that's kind of okay. It's okay, but you know, you need to instill a deeper purpose, passion.
You know, William, I also have, if that is the case, I also have ideation myself. I want 64 million Thai people to be able to develop their ability to learn. Whether they finish high school or less than that, they're still capable of learning, right?
It's fantastic. Absolutely.
In fact, I developed this from Martin Luther King when he said he has a dream to become black and white, to become equal. So I have a dream. Whatever I do, like this program, I want you to show to the Thai people that they can learn from you
Yes.
to become, like ideation is definitely a learning system. Okay, the second point about the Singapore library case on vision, what is their vision?
So their vision was to provide access to every citizen of the country, and you want to think about that in terms of just the breadth and the depth. But that required then extensive, you know, transformational projects to be put in place in order to achieve that. So their vision was, we want all citizens to have easy access, either walk into the library or get it digitally, right?
Okay.
Using technology.
Okay. The third one, very interesting, alignment, and you talk about culture. You engineer, why you spend so much time
why would an engineer talk about culture? Well,
culture is something intangible. Right?
Yeah. So if you know the story about IBM, okay, in 1993, IBM, right, was essentially at crisis. This is a large company, was about to go into a liquidity problem.
I know.
And Lou Gerstner came on board, and he wrote a book on this called Who Says Elephants Can't Dance? And what he acknowledges, which I think is just simply profound from a leader, and he's looking back 7 years of his transformation of IBM, because he had to literally save it and kind of reconstruct it. He said that I came to learn that culture is the strategy. In his particular case, it was not about not having brilliant people, not about having technology. He recognized that the problems that IBM had got themselves into was based on the culture, and fundamentally coming into an awareness of what had to be fixed in the culture, or at least transformed. I
You
want to say
know,
fixed.
William, your point today is so important. Many engineers who work in the company, many of them don't pay attention to intangible.
Yeah.
Culture is very intangible. In fact, you know, about 10 years ago, I have a contest having the best engineering student getting a prize from my institute. And the best one is to understand the engineering and the non-engineering area, like psychology, organizational behavior. So I think the point is that if you engineer, you should not only focus on things that you measure, right? So, now the fourth one, very important, is engagement. What's the meaning of engagement?
So this is the